Today I'd like to talk about social walls when meeting new people. What are social walls anyway? It's basically those walls which some people tend to knock down when talking to other people. Self-inflicted borders or limitations on what to talk about, of what is allowed to say and how far is a person allowed to go when talking to a person they've just met. Those would be things I would define as elements of the social walls. So, social walls are a means of protection. They are basically there to make sure that whoever you talk to, whom you don't know too much about, isn't going to attack you or trick you in some bad way. It's basically a filter which only allows the trusted into your sphere of privacy. Unfortunately, however, there are those who assume that walls do not exist or that it's everybody's wish to overcome them. You have those self-acclaimed extroverts who are basically clueless people who have no idea about society, but they still assume that just because they shout over somebody, they force somebody to talk, or they force somebody to give their opinion on some subject which they wouldn't otherwise on their own accord, then they assume themselves extroverts. This is stupid. It's not only completely untrue, it's just really rude. Social walls are there for a reason, and I think they are a blessing in disguise. It protects you. It gives you the option to choose whom you want to be friends with. It gives you the option to decide what kind of topics are acceptable to you and which are not. It's a free world. You can do whatever you want, you can choose what to talk about, and on what terms to discuss what, whether you want to discuss it in the first place altogether. So, if we think about this, social walls is something everybody has. Every stranger you talk to doesn't want to share their intimate details of their life with you. It's something which allows you to stay in your sphere of privacy and interact with other people about neutral topics. If we have a situation where people are to meet, that is to say that they could meet, but not necessarily this is wanted by both parties, then this is a case where a social wall has to be overcome for a conversation about deeper topics to open up. If both parties are willing, if both sides want to open up, they just put the wall aside and they discuss everything as if they were best pals. But if you have somebody who doesn't like somebody else, then they will just keep their wall upright. They have no intention in removing this wall. So this wall is a means of asserting your disapproval of the other person telling you what to do, or in any way you having to synchronize with them. So if we think about it some more, if we have people who impose themselves over other people, they always want to knock down the wall, because that's the thing which hinders them. That's what the only thing which hampers their, let's say, manipulation of the other person. If they are one of those people who are narcissistic, they want others to pay attention to their nonsense, the first thing they want to do is to remove this wall. On the other hand, if you have somebody who's respecting and friendly, I don't think there is a single case scenario in which a nice person would forcibly want to remove another person's wall. Because walls are there for a reason, and everybody gets to decide whether they want the wall there or not. So how do you overcome this? You're not allowed to force your way through another person's wall. You have to respect it. So how do you become friends? Well, you don't. This is something which I have discovered, well, as far as I'm concerned, this is how it is. But it's my opinion, obviously. It goes that you have to develop a sense for these things. You have to find out whether this person likes you. and only then suggest an opening up of the wall. In the default set of scenario, there is a wall which is not to be overcome. You could probably somehow force your way to open the wall. You can somehow trick the other person into opening up. But that's very disrespectful and is completely ungentlemanly. The proper way to open up a wall is to develop a feel for how the other person feels, develop empathy. And based on this, based on your educated guess, you could come to a realization that this other person is rather opening up to you, and then you can sort of behave as if the wall didn't exist. Unfortunately, many people do not do this, and many people think themselves to be socially savvy even if they're not, but they think themselves to be savvy on the basis of them being able to ignore the wall. I don't think it's any mark of being intelligent or sensitive or empathetic or socially savvy above all if somebody manages to ignore the wall, which is obviously there. Recognizing that the wall is there and recognizing that the other person imposes this wall and they might not want any conversation to take place there is what I understand as empathy. This is something which decides whether you should or should not talk to them. That is, if you see that they like you or if you see that they don't like you. If you have no idea, you don't do anything. Not everybody wants to be everybody's friend. Many people don't like many other people, and this is something which everybody should respect. So just because you meet somebody new doesn't mean you have any right to assume that you're going to be their friend. When talking to other people, in a way, you're selling a product, that product being you. And if the person doesn't want to buy this product from you, you should go away. But if there's somebody trying to force this product down your throat anyway, it's a very uncomfortable experience. And they think to themselves, I'm selling a very nice product. Take it, buy it. But whether this product is wanted or not is another question. If I could talk about these so-called self-acclaimed extroverts, they almost always have no respect for the other person's integrity. They try to befriend somebody, they point their finger, they say, I want to be your friend, and they do this completely one-sidedly. They have absolutely no regard for the other person's decision, whether they want to be friends or not. When talking to other people, in a way, you're selling a product, that product being you. And if the person doesn't want to buy this product from you, you should go away. But if there's somebody trying to force this product down your throat anyway, it's a very uncomfortable experience. And they think to themselves, I'm selling a very nice product. Take it, buy it. But whether this product is wanted or not is another question. Such people try to pretend that the wall isn't there. They try to already assume that they are best friends with the other person, irrespectively of their viewpoint. And they sort of imply that the right thing to do, or to say more precisely, the cool thing to do, the thing cool social people do, is not to hinder social harmony. The problem is, this goes completely against individual freedom. And all these guys are basically doing, they define their own rules. And they say, I think I want to be friends with everybody, so that means everybody should sort of support my efforts in making a friendship. I think this is a personal undertaking from which nobody else but the initiator is responsible. So these guys nonetheless try to sort of put this idea forward that I am here, I'm the cool social guy, you should accept my friendship no matter what you think of me because I'm just so awesome because I say so. And if you do otherwise, you're just uncool. There's a psychological trick I heard of which basically should help you make people like you by asking them to do you favors. The psychological way goes basically that if somebody does something which is beneficial to you, they will subconsciously think of you as of their buddy. But I think this is, even if this could potentially work, it's just an evil thing to do, because you're basically lying to the person you're asking a favor of, and you try to manipulate them. There's a big difference between doing this and giving them the opportunity to make the decision themselves whether they like you or not. If you just assume that everybody likes you, and no matter what you do, you're automatically worthy everybody's time, and you just are being very arrogant and ascribe a lot of value to yourself which you do not necessarily have. So, that's it for today. Thanks for listening, and bye.